Everyone and their bloody baguette. Dozens of estate agents in Paris. I was in 3 different primary schools. It was just too much. It was too much. I wouldn't say Paris is a place to learn French. Pickpocketing, rooftop cocktails there, villagey vibes. Hi, my name is Tanika and welcome to my channel. So I haven't done a YouTube video in a little while because I'm not gonna lie, life got a little bit overwhelming there for a sec. But I'm back, and I'm back with a video all about Paris. I went to Paris for my year abroad, lived my best Emily in Paris life, and I thought, you know what, you've fully overdone it on talking about your uni experience, so let's just close the chapter with the final part. So I'm going to talk all about that today and about my experience in the hope that it helps someone moving to Paris, going to do an Erasmus, a year abroad, work abroad, going for a little trip in Paris, and thought I'd talk about accommodation, whether it's safe, where to live, British Council, what it's like to teach English as a foreign language in Paris, what it's like learning French in Paris, if it's any good to go there to learn French, you know, all that jazz. And with all that said, let's get into the video. First things first, let's just get this out of the way. Learning French in Paris. I'm not gonna lie, everyone and their bloody baguette speaks English in Paris. And I have said this to a French person quite recently and they were like, what, seriously? Like, Parisians just like to speak French. So my thoughts on the matter are a little bit jumbled, but yeah, my personal experience as an English speaker in Paris was that everyone spoke English and everyone wanted to practice their English with you. So I personally found it very difficult to practice me French. Like, even if I was just walking to a little cafe, I'd go into the cafe wanting to order my little latte, get up to the till, and before I've uttered a word, they'll be like, hi, how can I help you? Hi, what coffee would you like? And I'm like, just let me say bonjour, you know? Yeah, so best advice, if you are going to stay in Paris to learn French, try and move out of your English speaking comfort zone or whatever language you speak and make French friends, work in a French speaking place, join French clubs and societies, anything you can to kind of move away from that English speaking side of things. But yeah, I think if I could do things differently, I would have gone to a less international touristy destination in France, just to, you know, try and speak French as much as I can. But yeah, I wouldn't say Paris is a place to learn French, but you do you, my babe. Okay, moving on. Accommodation. It's super spenny and super sought after, so my top tip, I'm just going to chuck this in at the start, don't be super last minute. Long story short, what happened to me was there was a whole shambles at the start of my year abroad, which I explained my year abroad in Latvia video, but basically that gave me like a month and a half to figure out where to live in Paris. I ended up leaving that till about a half a month before I was going to Paris. Oops. Because I thought it would be super easy to find an apartment. Boy, was she wrong? Was she being naive? I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't find anywhere, and a lot of viewings and stuff for apartments, you had to be there in the city, so I was like, right, f it. I'm gonna get to Paris, I'm gonna book a couple of nights in a hostel. I gave myself 6 nights. What I did every single day was I go into all the estate agents in Paris, like knock on their doors and be like, hi, help me, and they were all just like, no darling, there's nothing. And I went to dozens of estate agents in Paris. I was emotional, I'm not gonna lie. I love a bit of change, I love a bit of exploring, a bit of spontaneity, but it was just too much. It was too much. So definitely do not recommend being last minute, because the stress that came from that was god tier. But I did get an apartment in the end, and I got the apartment with Paris Attitude, which I believe is directed at international people coming into Paris, and they handled everything pretty well. I got my deposit back at the end, so can't complain. Now moving on to areas in Paris, so there's 20 arrondissements, and they're ordered in like a snail slash spiral fashion, so it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it spirals out. That's definitely not right, by the way, what I was doing. I know 1 is here and 2 is like here, so I was in the second in Paris, so it was super central, and in my head I kind of just thought central, easier to get to work, easier for like transport links and stuff like that. However, they pay 1,000 euros without any bills or anything like that included to live in a multi little shoebox without windows. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it was a good deal. I think it was a bit of a bargain to find something like that for 1,000 euros. So yeah, the ability to have a pop in social life was definitely hindered by the fact that my whole salary and everything else went towards rent, but that's central Paris for you. So recommendations, my #1 recommendation is to start looking for a place early, and to like figure out who you're living with or whether you're living on your own early early. Now, you're going to need a ton of papers when you're looking to rent a place in Paris, so do make sure to sort out your rental file in advance. You're going to need stuff like printouts of your passport, printouts of your guarantor's passport. You might need your guarantor's pay slips for the past 3 months, and it's good to have all of that sorted out because you want to make yourself the most competitive candidate for an apartment as possible, because already being an international person who requires an international guarantor makes you slightly less attractive than a Parisian person who's like there and ready to go and look at the flat and get things sorted. So it also does help if you can be in Paris to go and look at apartments and be there and say when you're there, yeah, I want this, be able to give over your rental file and stuff like that. And by the way, all the stuff that you need for your rental file is on Google, and there might be extra stuff on there / stuff that might not be on there that your specific estate agent requires, but in general it's all there. And the last thing I will say is do consider the suburbs or the outer areas of Paris, or alternatively there's these like homes. So my friend was in a home for girls in Paris. There was a curfew, but she would just stay at someone's house if she didn't get back on time. It was much cheaper. I think it was like 530 euros or something per month. Obviously super safe, bills were included, and I guess it's just kind of nice to know someone's watching out for you. So yeah, that's a good option as well, and it was super central. It was in the 5th, I believe. So apartments, suburbs or central, foyer, and so on. Right, groceries and shopping. I'm not gonna lie, they're a little bit more pricey in Paris than elsewhere. Again, everything's just a little bit more pricey, and I think that's the same in most capital cities around the globe. There's loads of different types of supermarkets in Paris, and I believe these vary slightly in price. I'll put the general kind of order here of which one's the most to least expensive. So I personally recommend doing a little online grocery shop. I think that's just easier in general in whatever country you're in. But yeah, I did mine with Auchan. I did this a couple of times. I think I only started on month 6 of being there though. So just too little too late, darling, I'm not gonna lie. And throughout the city there's so many of these little supermarkets, but they are mini versions of supermarkets. So if you fancy doing a big shop in a big supermarket, it actually has a lot of selection, because these mini ones will have a bit less selection, although they are superior to like Tesco's, Metros, and like Tesco Extra and stuff like that. You will need to go a little bit further afield to find your big supermarkets, and these are probably going to be cheaper. And I will just add in here, shampoo and conditioner in these little mini supermarkets, don't know what it's like in the big supermarkets, is spenny. So before you come to Paris, stock up on your favourite shampoo and conditioner, because it's likely going to be cheaper at home, I think. Next things next, fruit and veg in supermarkets is absolute poo. And that's probably generalizing a little bit again, but from my experience, and I think it's a general kind of known thing in France, that the best fruit and veg is at the markets. You go to the markets, they got their fruit and veg, the fish, everything you need at these markets, which will happen at various different times in the week or the weekend. You can just have a little Google to find out when the markets are in Paris or wherever you are, and the fruit and veg selection in these is going to be much better. It's going to be fresher, seasonal, and you can obviously practice your little bit of French. And the last thing I want to add on grocery and shopping is that food shops are only open during the morning on Sundays in France. And the situation's slightly better in Paris because you might have the odd one that's open a little bit later, but in the rest of France, in like the bumblefuck villages I was talking about before, everything closes after, I think it's 12 on a Sunday. So either make sure you're all stocked up and ready for your Sunday evening / Monday morning foodies, or get up and get going to Franprix or Monoprix on Sunday morning before they close. So like any old city, there's obviously safer areas, there's less safe areas, and you know, just the need to just generally be a little bit cautious. Obviously you can get pickpocketed anywhere, but capital and like very touristy cities are obviously just a sparkly little global hotspot for pickpocketing. And my boyfriend at the time did get pickpocketed when we were on the tube in Paris, and I also had a guy jump onto the tube after me. I knew he was eyeing me, and my boyfriend at the time had already been pickpocketed, so I was so mega aware of getting pickpocketed. So everything I owned was like within my coat, within like pockets that no one could access. And he jumps on the tube after me. I have a suitcase, so obviously looking a little bit touristy. He jumps on, dives his hand into my coat pocket, whips it out. There's nothing there for him to get. Bamboozled, baby. He dives on, dips his hand into my pocket, feels nothing, and then jumps off the train. I'm like, you motherfucker. So yeah, just general rule of thumb is keep your bags around the front of your body. If you have shit in your pockets, keep your hands in your pockets. So just be cautious and be aware. But like I said, that can happen anywhere. It's not just Paris. But other than this, Paris feels very safe. The area I lived in felt very safe. Obviously, you know, be safe and cautious, and don't be wandering down Bumblefuck Alley on your own at night time. But yeah, and if it was past a certain time I would get an Uber home. But yeah, in general, Paris feels pretty good to me. Okay, the sun is starting to go down. We need to wrap this up, folks. I haven't got a drink in here, by the way. I've got grapes because it's absolutely still though. So transport. not a very sexy topic, I know, but it needs to be said. Buy a metro pass, please. They really are cost effective. I don't think I had one for the first couple of months, and then when I got one, wowee, yeah, really cost effective. I feel like you've got to go like back and forth throughout the city as many times you want in a day for a certain price or whatever. Maybe that's incorrect. I'm spreading rumours here, but do save yourself the hassle, my friend, and stick your passport photo on there ASAP to avoid that €35 rush hour fine. In general, the metro does feel safe. I personally wouldn't go on it at night on my own, but people obviously do. I just personally feel at night the London tube feels a little bit safer than the Paris tube, but maybe that's just the mindset I was in at the time, or the lines I was taking were a little bit quiet, whereas the ones that I take in London are quite busy late at night. So yeah. Oh, rush hour is absolutely wild. So if you have to get the train during rush hour in the morning or at night time, just... And then other than tubes, you can obviously use taxis and Ubers. Then you've got the electric scooters that you can pay for on the app and stuff like that. I think there's like Bird, Lime, whatever else. And then there's trams, which I believe are kind of more in the outer areas of Paris. And then finally, for those green folk among us, also those that just want to see the city, Paris is super duper walkable. You can walk from one side of Paris to the other in a day easily, I think. So if you do have the time to spare and just want to have a walk around Paris, absolutely do so. It's just such a beautiful city. And that is that on transport in Paris. Okay, so potentially what you came here for, who knows, but British Council and teaching English in Paris, here we go. So the application process for British Council, easy peasy, easy peasy breezy. There is a deadline for when your application needs to be in by, but your university will guide you on this if you're going through a uni doing it. Otherwise, I'm sure you can find it on the British Council website easily enough. The application is like personal statement meets CV. And you also have to say which kind of age group you'd like to teach English to during the application. And then you also have to say which areas of France you'd like to work in. So I think you had to give 3 options. And then same for the age group, I believe you said which age group you like to most work with, and then second choice, and then the same with the areas. I think there was a thing that, let's say you chose Montpellier, and the idea was that would be in like, let's say branch C contains a bunch of different places and Montpellier is the main city in that, then you might be assigned to a village that's pretty close to it but not actually it. Might be wrong though, but I think one of my friends got bamboozled that way, that she wanted to be in Montpellier but ended up being like a little bumblefuck village close to it but not actually it. And obviously there is no guarantee on you getting your first choice or even your second choice. I think it's very unlikely to be turned down altogether from the British Council, I think, and it is for the whole academic year. So you start in around late September to early October time, I believe, and then you go all the way to the end of the academic year in France, having your breaks for Christmas, and then I believe there was a February break and whatever other breaks there are. So I personally chose Paris as my first choice and also teaching primary school kids as my first choice, and I got both, which was really nice. So yeah, let me know if you want more info on how I got my first choices and how I went about filling in the application form and stuff like that. I then moved to Paris in September, already knowing which schools I was going to be with and having some correspondence with the assistant who was at those schools previously the last year, and kind of learning what it's like and about and stuff like that. And then I started work in Paris in October, before which I had various training days and stuff like that with the Académie de Paris, which is basically the organisation that works with the British Council but in Paris. And then you also meet the various principals of the schools you're working with. You might be in one school, you might be in multiple schools. So I had one friend who was just in one lovely little school in the centre of Paris, and I was in 3 different primary schools in the 14th. But yeah, so it's really nice because you get to meet the principals and visit the school or schools before you start, which is really nice, makes you feel more comfortable. And that the first day when you're going into work, you know your way around the school, you know how to get there, done. And then just before we started, like the day before maybe, there was this meeting with all of the principals. You, the English language assistant, would sit with the principals, and someone at the front spoke about the whole process and stuff like that with you, with the principals of the schools that you're with. And then following that, we went back to the schools and basically talked about the whole schedule, which year class I'd be working with and what was expected of me and how many classes I'd be doing, what my hours were like, blah 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 blah. And that is where the fun begins. It was absolute madness. I taught 16 different multi-level classes per week and was bouncing around between 3 different schools and having to figure out the work that you're going to provide for sometimes, yeah, multi-level classes. But yeah, top tip time. Bring some trinkets and like little British things with you for you to do like a show and tell situation. It's really nice to do that on your first day. And just a reminder that during your training and stuff with the Académie de Paris, and also when you're talking to the teachers, they might provide you with books to use and to like make photocopies from, discs and videos. They might have certain like programs on computers and stuff that they like you to use, and then the Académie de Paris also provides you with things to help you out, and you can discuss with other students and people that have maybe done it before and have come back or whatever. So there's always like support for you to know how to do it. But yeah, do discuss with your teachers before you start what your plan of action for the year is going to be and what facilities they have that you'll be able to use throughout the year. And yeah, you should never be the rule enforcer, and just be creative. Get down to it. So, moving on from that, having a fun time in Paris. Life is really what you make it in Paris, and I feel like I was not on like my top form because I didn't enjoy teaching that much. It was just huge class sizes, and my experience was very different to some other people. And I think that's because I had teaching experience before. They were like, this girl's fine, we should chuck her in the deep end. Yeah, so like, I didn't do as much as I wanted to do because I'd just be so dead after the whole day. Like, I don't know how full-time teachers do it. Like, how do you keep that energy up all day, every day for years? It's madness, honestly. A lot of respect. So when I was actually like going out and having a good time, there's just so much to do in Paris. So Paris is absolutely chock-a-block full of amazing architecture and places for shopping and restaurants and bars and speakeasies on like literally every corner of every street in Paris. There's museums and galleries and incredible monuments and just amazing areas of Paris to wander around. And by the way, you can go to a lot of these for free. Little side note.
Students and EU citizens under the age of 26 have free access to all monuments and national museums in France.
Woo! And there's some just absolutely amazing ones. So what I did personally before going to Paris, no, actually I did it when I was in Paris. I made a list of all the places I wanted to go, all the places I had researched and seen, and I put little tick boxes beside each of them and just made it my absolute mission to go to these. So there's, like I said, some amazing museums and galleries and just things that you want to visit. Yeah, like I said, Paris is arranged in areas, so I would recommend visiting as many of these as possible, because each one, although the architecture is quite similar, I'd say, each area of Paris is worth exploring because they all have a slightly different vibe. Right, personal faves. Firstly, I heavily recommend Le Marais. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation again, this is what it's called. In the 4th in Paris, so very central. It was really close to where I lived actually. A couple of my fave places there was Atelier de la Bougie, which was a candle shop, and I bought a candle there and it smelled like the sexiest man alive, honestly. It was so good. And there was a lovely brunch spot called Wild in the Moon. I believe there's maybe 2 of them in Paris, I'm not sure, but it's very like vegan slash, I don't think it's completely vegan, but like non-dairy milk organic vibes. Oh, and then BHV for rooftop cocktails. I think BHV in general is like a department store, but yeah, top floor you have, I think it's called Le Perchoir. Again, sorry for the pronunciation, here you go. Anyways, rooftop cocktails there. Wouldn't necessarily expect it was there. Great vibes, and the views across Paris, excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. And then also the first is obviously just absolutely chock-a-block full of absolute stunners. I have got a blog post on this, so I can link that below for more places. Then obviously just like a little brief shout out to the second where I live. There were lots of nice little brunch places and places to eat there. There was a great market there. It was very connected to different places. Good shopping near the 4th as well. You could walk to Les Jardins des Tuileries, yeah, which is very nice and very well connected. Really liked it. My tube stop was Sentier. Again, nice green line, fave colour. Oh, also, there's a place, what's it called? Tiger, the bar maybe, do amazing cocktails. I had a roasted marshmallow one called Pink Panther. And then finally the 18th just gives a completely different vibe to the rest of Paris. It's like villagey vibes, I would say, and it's where you can live your best Amélie Poulain life. If you've seen that movie, she's all over the 18th, babes. Very weird movie, I think, but anyway, she wanders all over the 18th. And again, beautiful vibes there. You've got Sacré-Cœur, you've got Moulin Rouge, you have the Wall of Love. I remember there was a lovely Christmas market when I was there. If you go, just pack me in your suitcase. Okay, let's just wrap it up real quick. Would I go back? Absolutely, 1000%. I'm planning a trip for next year. Would I live there again? Only if I was getting absolute wonga. It's beautiful, but it's too hard not to want to go out and eat in the restaurants that are everywhere and super delicious all the time and buy amazing things in the fashion capital of the world, baby. And I would want to be able to do all of those things and live in a gorgeous apartment if I was there. So yeah, if I was getting absolute wonga, I'll see you there I will see you there. And that about concludes it for today's video. So if you do move to Paris, I hope this has been helpful in some capacity, or if you're hoping to go there to do your Erasmus, British Council, year abroad, work abroad, just visiting, you're moving there, you're whatever. If you're there, good luck, enjoy it, throw yourself into everything and anything, and make the effort to go and explore all the touristy things before it's too late. Because it's always what happens, you move to a city and you're like, I'm living here, so there's no need to go and do all the things. I mean, this is what I do. If you don't do it, I wish I could be you. But yeah, I think when you live in a city, you forget to go and do all the fun touristy things. So just get them done because it's beautiful, and walk around all the amazing gardens and have a fabulous time. That's a wrap, folks, I'm not gonna lie. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions or anything like that, and good luck with your move if you're moving to Paris. Thanks for watching. Mwah.